Hi, in this fifth mentorship skill, I am going to talk about testing. See, test is one thing. Whenever the name of a test comes in front of a student, they will feel a little bit of chill in their spine that I am going to be evaluated. And most of the times, for 90% of the students, they will have tendency to avoid test. So they will do things, they will come up with excuses. I have a school exam. I did not prepare enough for the test. I have not done the assignments now. Can we postpone the test? All those words that I am talking in front of you came from students directly. These are not my words. So most of the time they will have this tendency to avoid tests because whenever we think about tests, it gives us a chill that, okay, I am going to be evaluated. I am going to get some feedback. So my first point regarding testing is that we should understand it in the right light. So ask this question to yourself that why are the tests getting conducted? Because if you can answer this question, this negative feeling or connotation that is added with the image of test, this will go away. Take 30 seconds to reflect over it. See, now once you have thought, let us go back to my reason or logic behind writing tests. See, according to me, a test is nothing but a feedback loop. What does that mean? See, you set a goal for yourself. What you have also done is you have went and attended some classes. What you also did was corresponding to that, based on whatever time was available, you did some practice in your wisdom. It had certain level of quality and quantity into it. Then based on that, you did some revision also, and then you went for test. So what this test is essentially trying to give you is whatever you did as a part of your preparation, classes, practice, goal setting, revision, a feedback of the efficacy of that. Fundamentally, whatever you are doing as a student, how well it is working today. The word important here is not tomorrow, today. How well it is working today. So it gives me a feedback that today, whatever classes am I attending, is it in the right direction? I'm not saying faculty is teaching good, bad, ugly. I'm saying that how you are attending it. How are you doing practice? Is it in the right direction or not? And whatever revision you are doing, is it in the right direction or not? Do I know how to write test? Do I know how to prepare for test? Do I know how to process test? So it is giving you a feedback regarding that. So test is nothing but a feedback loop. So it is a tool. What you need to understand, it is nothing but a tool that you can use with a great efficiency in your well-being for writing the exam or getting better ranks in the exam. But for this, first thing that you need to do is flip the image of test from something that gives you chill to something that can give you great results. This flip should happen, and understand this is nothing but a tool and feedback. And for generating this feedback or feedback loops, faculty will invest tremendous amount of time in preparing test. So if it had been something to punish you, if had been something to do something negative to you, they will not spend so much time into it because there are simpler ways to do that. Just a joke. So what I'm trying to tell you is it is just nothing but just a tool. So if I am able to understand as a student how to use this tool better, all the negative connotations will go away. I will be able to objectively judge what exactly is not working in my preparation today. Because what you most of the times will go and think is, my marks are very low, I will not be able to qualify the exam. Test is not giving this feedback, you are generating this feedback. What test is saying that, see, today what you are working, it is not working out. So if I improve this, tomorrow I can definitely clear the exam. But I need to work on those areas. So what it talks about is where you are in your journey today. So if you are able to process this feedback in the right manner, you will be able to move on with your journey. You will be able to reach where you wanted to be. And that is definitely not going to happen if you avoid testing. Now the question arises, how to prepare for test? That is the first question that we will try and answer. Now when I am discussing these points, keep what you have in your mind with you and corresponding to that what you are doing and how it should be ideally done. So according to me, these are the things that we should do before the test. See, when you are preparing for the test, the most important thing that you can do is nothing but solve mock test. This is the first thing. So what students will do, I will tell you. What students will do is, they will again go back to the notebook. They will start revising theory from the notebook. Most of their time, and let us say if there are 100 units of time, 60 to 70 will go into revising the notes. 20 to 30% they will do some practice and then will go and write the test. This is what 99% of students do as a part of their test preparation strategy. What I'm asking is basically flip this. What you should do is go and write a mock test of the topic or the number of topics that are going to come in the test. Now once you have written that mock test, now you see that how much marks I am getting today without doing any preparation, because you think that you haven't done any preparation, but that is not the case. You went for the classes, you learned something there as well, you did some questions in the classes also. Then you came back and solved the module or the assignment. There also you solved some questions. Then those discussions that happened in the classes, there also you learned something. So you are continuously learning. It is not that you need to do it one day, 1 month before the exam. You are continuously learning only, and that learning is for writing test only. So you are already doing preparation. If you can revise those short notes and problem surveys that we talked about in the revision session daily, you will not feel underconfident. You can go and write this mock test. Now once you have written this mock test, it will generate some amount of feedback that okay, these are the few formulas that I don't remember, these are the few concepts that are not very clear, these are the areas that I need to practice more. Now start working on these relevant areas, because earlier what you are doing is you are doing a journalistic preparation with no sense of strategy, what is more important, what is less important. Now after doing this, you have generated a feedback. Okay, out of what? So my 100% of time is going into doing lot of irrelevant stuff. Now my 100% of time is going into doing those things that I actually do not know. So it becomes a much efficient exercise in preparing for test. So once I have done this, the next is basically fix a relevant realistic score. See, most of the times the students will go with this idea that okay, I'm going to score 100% marks this time. But my question is that how much you scored in your mock test? See, if you are doing 50 in your mock test, automatically it will not become 100, right? So you need to understand that even if I prepare, what I can realistically add is 10 marks. So 60 is my target score, or probably 70 is my target score. It could be anything, it could be 100 as well. But I should understand that there is some realistic score that I'm chasing in my exam. I'm not saying that always fix that, chase that. You have an idea in mind that what is my level of preparedness, what I want to expect in this exam. Once I've done that, the next idea would be when I'm attempting my exam, keeping my negative marking etc. into place, I will add 10% to my realistic score. So probably if I thought that 60% is something that I'm targeting, now I will add 10 into it and it will become nothing but 70. So this much amount of paper I will invest my time in doing. So what I am doing is basically I will go in the exam and I will have this idea that 70% realistically I want to attempt. So what will happen is you will start choosing questions in the exam. You will start choosing questions in the exam. So most of your time will go into doing those questions that you think are doable, that are easy and moderate. And you will intelligently skip those questions that are difficult, are more demanding, will take more time and still might not give you right answers and hence marks. So every test is a test of writing paper better. So if I am doing work in that direction, I will largely be very confident in writing the exam. So by doing these 3 steps, I have figured out what I need to do, what I need to do as a part of preparation journey, how much paper I will attempt. And now once I have got that score, let us say that this I attempted and probably it is less than what I wanted to, it is 55 only. But still you can see that some improvement from 50 happened. That is one thing. Now slowly I can target on increasing my score in the next exam. So next exam probably I can fix a target of 60. So what I am trying to tell you is basically you are going to write enough exams in your preparation journey. I do not need to optimize my score in the first exam itself. I not need to worry also because I am writing more than 100 tests in my preparation journey. So if I keep 1% also, if I increase, by the end of the 100th I can reach 100%. Even if I started with 1%, I am not starting with 1%. I am already starting with 50-60. So there is enough time to improve. There is no need to worry. All I need is a strategy that starts from mock test that goes towards some realistic score and then slowly optimizing the score from test by test to reach the required score that you want. So largely speaking, there is no hurry, there is no worry. I can slowly work towards it and it is a very good strategy. Now if I move towards the second part, how to write exam. See, I have seen students coming to me and telling me that, sir, I know how to prepare, I know concepts also, I know problems also, but marks I cannot get. So if you are unable to get marks despite these things, largely your paper writing strategy is not very good. Okay, so let us understand here that what should be your paper writing strategy. Now, according to me, in paper when you are writing an exam, your success largely depends on two factors. What is your morale while writing the exam, and how well you are able to manage time. So let me give an example. When I am writing the exam, let us say that I encountered in the starting of the exam a very difficult question. It ate away 10 minutes also, and I did not get the right answer also. So what happened is, as a result of attempting that question, I have now less confident in attempting the next question, because I largely think that my preparation is not sufficient, because I was not able to do that question, and in the process I have lost 10 minutes also, so I have less amount of time to do the next question also. So largely by attempting those questions, I have lost my morale also and time also. So if you could have conserved one, either morale or time, I would have done much better in the exam. And it is always better to conserve time in the exam. Okay, so now let us work towards a strategy and how it needs to be done so that my morale and time are working for me rather than working against me. So what I am going to do is, when I open a test, first I am going to go and read the instructions, give 5 minutes into it, because sometimes, especially in JEE Advanced, they will sometimes introduce something new. Like I remember, one of my students was able to do much better in JEE Mains to JEE Advanced, because he read the instructions correctly, and that year they introduced the concept of partial marking in matrix type questions. So just by reading the instructions right, you might be able to add few marks here and there, and even one more mark can have a tremendous impact on your percentile. So remember to give 5 minutes in doing this activity, despite you being very confident I know all the instructions. Second is basically order how you are going to do things. See, this order is tentative, you can obviously modify it. This is something that I have experienced works better compared to other orders. So my idea is that if you are writing a JEE paper, you should start with the subject chemistry, then move towards physics, then mathematics. This should be largely the order, whether it is JEE Mains or JEE Advanced. There is a logic behind it. Logic is, most of the times chemistry questions, if you know, only you should attempt. If you don't know, I will not give you a suggestion that you should do some elimination here and there and attempt the question. The reason is that in organic and inorganic, that question might be based on some exception, and if you do not know that exception, probably the option that is correct, you have already logically eliminated that option. So my elimination will never work. So largely speaking, if you are doing inorganic organic paper, do not do any kind of elimination work. Whatever you know, attempt and move on. In physical, you can do it, might work out. So this is the reason that if I only want to attempt what I know, I do not require much amount of time, because largely there will be a lot of questions from inorganic organic that will solely depend on how well I am able to remember things. Second part would be nothing but the physics part. Now here you can spend some time, you can get some marks. So even if I am spending 60 minutes, those 60 minutes are going into applying the concept, doing some calculation also. So this is the highest that you can do. Most of the students that get top ranks are able to do this in 15 minutes also. If you are able to do this in 50 minutes, this in 30 minutes. What you should understand now is, as a result, I have saved something around 1 hour 40 minutes, 1 hour 30 minutes for doing the questions. Now, the rest of the time, probably it could go into mathematics directly, or sometime you can invest in checking the paper also. You know, both the things are fine. There is no right and wrong in doing either of those things. My idea is that 30, 60, 60, it could also be 40, 60, and 1 hour 20 minutes, and that is, or 80 minutes, and either of the things. That is also possible. There is no problem in doing that as well. This is also fine. So largely speaking, my idea is that you should understand that physics I will invest less amount of time. I will start with this, then I will go to physics, and then I will go towards mathematics. Some people are comfortable doing mathematics first, physics second, and that you can figure out. According to me, this is the right order. Now how I am going to attempt each of the sections, and I will go into attempting each of the question. So I am going to go very micro. Now if you go into every subject or every section, your idea is to read the paper. Once you are reading the paper, going through the paper, there is a question that you encountered is very easy. Answer that question and move ahead. Now I read a question that I found that, okay, if I try, I might be able to do this question. So that is a moderate question. Now idea should be that if you think that I will take little bit of time to think over more, mark this question for review, because this is a very good option now for writing questions which are nothing but computer based. There is an option to review that question, so use that option. If you are doing a pen and paper test, you can mark R over it. move ahead. And there is a question that is a difficult question. You have realized just by reading it that this I won't be able to do. So leave this question straightforward. If you are writing a pen and paper test, mark L over it. Now don't do that question. Or mark a cross over it, don't do that question. Now why am I doing question like this, attempting like this? Because if I do easy and moderate questions first, I am not getting stuck in the exam. Easy question, if done correctly, will give me morale also because I have solved the question correct. I have saved time in the process because I was able to do that question faster because it was an easy question. So in my journey of attempting the paper in this manner, I was able to save both my morale as well as time. So now the paper will work for me because when difficult question or moderate question came, till that point I was saved enough amount of time to give more time to more difficult question. So I was able to manage my time better. Instead of giving more time to a moderate or difficult question at the starting of the paper, I have prioritized it towards the end. So that when I am going to that question, I have already done 20-30 questions right. So I will have different kind of confidence in attempting that question. So morale and time both I am managing simultaneously by following this strategy. Now if I move forward, let me take one small point. How am I going to solve a question? Now see, largely we learn this in practice also, and I discuss this idea in practice also. If I am attempting a question, what should be my strategy? So again, when you do a question, the first step would be to read the question carefully. When we read the question, it largely does not mean reading the question. We are noting down important data. And if required, we are drawing a diagram along with it. So we are engaging with the question. Because see, if you read the whole question and then try and solve it, it becomes difficult. It becomes complex. But if you divide and conquer by noting down important data, important diagrams simultaneously, and then you read the next line, it will become easy. Once you have done this, think of a strategy. Okay, what is given to me, what I need to find. What is given and what I need to find, that I have segregated now. And I am thinking how to connect both of these ideas using some concept, some formula, some shortcut, something. Next thing should be to apply the strategy and get to an answer. And then the next step would be, in this direction would be, once I have done that, next thing that I am going to do is check my answer. What I have seen is student largely will do these three steps, probably in this order or some other order, but they will never go and check the answer. See, checking is the most important part because if I want to do it towards the end, it will become a more complex activity. Few students do that. I also as a student used to do that only, but I will not recommend because it is not a very good way of managing time. What I will recommend is basically do it while solving the question. It will take like let us say 30 seconds extra, but you will be able to complete the journey and you will be sure that if I have done 5 questions, 5 are correct. Otherwise, I am becoming overconfident in doing the next question without getting the last one right. So now I have told you how, at a macro level how I need to arrange it, at a section level or subject level how I need to attempt it, and at the level of question how I need to do it. Now let us move on to the next part, that is nothing but what to do after the exam. See, this is the part that most of the students are very unclear with, that what to do after the exam once I have given the test. Usually what happens is either they will become very confident, आज तो पेपर फोड़ दिया मैंने, or they will become very underconfident that पेपर ने फोड़ दिया मुझे आज, है ना, and I am feeling very beaten down after the exam. Instead of feeling things, idea is to do a logical analysis because what we are trying to generate is feedback. What we are not trying to generate is feelings. So now what you need to do is basically, first thing, maintain a record of the score. That would largely mean that how much marks I am getting from test to test, that mentorship diary I talked about, or that Excel that you are maintaining, have a proper record of whatever test you are writing. In that, you should also write down that how much marks you got. How many questions were correct? How many questions were incorrect? What was the nature of my mistakes? And this last part is very important, the nature of my mistakes. Because if I am able to understand what mistakes are happening, I can work towards it in my practice sessions, in my classes, and work on those mistakes and get better marks. Now, idea is that there might be some questions in the exam that you are unable to do. So it is a very good idea to re-attempt those questions. Now, this students will not do. They will wait for the class to happen directly. No, go over the same paper one more time and re-attempt those questions. Now see that whether you are able to do it or not. Sometimes in the exam pressure or because of paucity of time, we are unable to do it in the exam. But after the exam, we are able to do it. So what I need to work on is basically that exam oriented practice strategy as a system that I taught you in the practice part. So that will work for you much better if you are not able to handle the pressure then. So this you need to check. And now more importantly, check the solution also, because probably my method was very lengthy. And what the faculty in the discussion told, or probably what is given in the solution, is shorter. You need to check on this. Then wherever you think that your question was lengthy or you were unable to do it, discuss or participate in the discussion session over those questions. What you should be worried about is basically what was your approach, and also the answers, because see, if you are not getting right answer, probably you are doing some there is some mistake in the micro steps that you are taking somewhere. Now think that what can be improved. This is very important. So instead of worrying about the score, it could be 50, 60, 1, 2, 3, does not matter, because again, it is a very big cycle of improvement. You are going to write hundreds of tests. Even if you get 1 mark, you can reach 100. Only thing to reach there would be to understand where you are lacking as a student. And that if I am able to focus on after writing this test, and I am golden, I have achieved the purpose of writing the test. Now what you can do is fix a target. See, without goals, targets, most of the times we won't be able to channelize our energy. So for next test, I can put a realistic target. See, don't do that. I got 0 marks, I will get 100 next time. What is your strategy to reach 100? So make something that is realistic in nature. Like if I am getting 0, probably 5 is a good number, or 10 is a good number, or 20 or 30. Fix something that you can logically improve by doing changes on a day-to-day basis. If you can improve what you are doing on a day-to-day basis, largely your outcome after 1 month, 15 days, 1 week is not going to improve. So for that fixed target, what I am now doing as a part of my daily preparation strategy, that needs to improve. Because if this breaks down in such a small part where I am going to understand what I am going to do today in order to improve my score, I have won the battle. That is what was the purpose of the test. It has served its purpose. It does not matter what score you got. But now you are golden. You will be able to do very well in your next exam, and ultimately you are 100% going to achieve result in your exam as well. Now next thing to understand should be how to benchmark the test. How to understand my preparation vis-a-vis mock test as well as the ultimate exam that I am going to write on my D-Day. So for that, understand the benchmarking of test. What does benchmarking means is, let us say I am writing a JEE means level test. So how should I benchmark it? So if I am getting 120 marks, usually students with 120, even 100 plus marks will get qualified. So I am qualifying for my JEE advanced exam. That is what it means. If I am getting 150, that would mean if I keep consistently performing in 150 from here till my mock test and in my actual exam, that would mean that I will get admission into one of the NITs. Even 120 plus can get you admission into one of your home state NITs, because home state quota will get applied there. So it is not something to be depressed about. I have seen a student depressing on a score of 100, 120 marks. You are getting admission somewhere. Why are you worried about anything? Now, if I am getting 180 plus, so usually you will get computer science in some NIT. Which NIT would it be? Nobody can tell, but you will get somewhere. If you want to get your choice NIT, probably you will want 240 plus. Here you can get admission into NIT, computer science of your choice, because multiple options students will have in IITs also, so probably you are going to get there. This 240 will also make you will get a rank in top 1000, largely speaking. If there is not some spike in that test, like last year what happened was in the first attempt, first test, the students were completely out of place because the cutoff went unrealistically high. Most of the times that is not going to happen. So you do not need to worry about that scenario. What you need to worry about is basically this basic benchmark should be into place. Probably in the next attempt it will get covered up. Now how to benchmark a test of JEE Advanced? Now if you are doing JEE Advanced test, a way to benchmark it would be, let us say that, let us start from what is the cutoff usually. In Advanced, till last year it was 26% approximately. In terms of percentage marks, that was the cutoff. So if I am beyond that, I will get admission, probably I will get a rank in JEE. But if I want something, a realistic number here should be somewhere 30%. This year it is like somewhere around 33%. So this you should understand that this is where Even if I get 30%, usually if I take 5 years mean, I will get into one of the IITs. What rank, what college, don't ask me that question. You will get somewhere. If you get 40%, that would ideally mean that you will be in 5000 rank. If you get 50%, that largely means that you will be in 2000 rank. And if you get 60%, that largely means you will be in 1000 rank. If it is somewhere around 70 to 80%, let us say 70 first, then we'll go towards 80. So if I say 70%, that would mean somewhere around 500 rank. And usually students who are in the top 100 rank have scored 90%, 80 to 90% marks, somewhere here. And student, so this is in the top 100, and students who get one rank 1 have scored 95% marks. You can see that most of the times we are judging ourselves using this criteria that who is getting all India rank. Probably you are not that person, and it does not matter. You will have good choices even if you are in the top 1000. You are going to have good choices even if you are in the top 5000. So you have enough amount of spread that you can play with in the exam. You do not need to worry about it. That is the most important thing. Now benchmarking is important. With whatever current performance I am doing, what kind of a score I might be able to get, this table gives you a very good explanation about that. This table is not a prescriptive table that is going to tell you what exactly happened in which year, because this is something statistically developed. But you will get an idea where am I in the journey if I just look into what is the benchmarking of the test. If you want to get more authentic data, I will give you a source. If you go to JEE Advanced website, in JEE Advanced website, there is a section of JEE reports in archive. So if you go to archive section, there are JEE reports. They will give you a very good distribution, of basically what happened in what particular year, and very good spread. But this kind of knowledge is not required. If you even have awareness regarding this benchmarking, it largely serves the purpose. Now, let us understand what are the few do's and don'ts in the journey. See, understand that most of the people think that I am preparing subject. They think that I am preparing physics, chemistry, mathematics. I am preparing this topic, ionic, chemical. No, you are preparing yourself. So you as an individual is your preparation. So if as a student I am not getting good in problem solving, my scores are definitely not going to be good. So understand this, you are not preparing subject, you are preparing yourself. So how well you are behaving in terms of a problem solver in day-to-day situation to writing exam is largely what is the outcome of the process. So all preparation is in ourselves, in our own mind. What test is doing is, it is just trying to develop validation around it. So I might think that my preparation is 9 out of 10. But what is the fact about that? I can think something else. So there is a situation, there is a reality of the situation. So it is giving you validation around that reality. So what I think, is it real or not? Now each test and tries and tells us something about us that we don't know. So if you deeply analyze it, you will figure out that where you are lacking. That test will give you that idea. Now what happens is, test is one of those organisms that has only mouth and no ears. So test will come and only talk. It will tell you, dekho, these are the things that you need to improve. These are the things you are really bad in. These are things you are really good in. So it has given you that idea by talking into your ears. If you talk back and tell the test has got no ears. What the test will do is, he will go back. After the next test, he will again come and give the same feedback to you. So it is an organism with only mouth and no ears. So don't tell your excuses. I was very busy, I was ill, I was this, I was that, my school exams were that, I am unable to manage this, that. It largely does not care. And also your JEE exam or your NEET exam largely do not care what is happening there. All you need to do is basically listen to what the test is trying to say. If you listen, you will grow as a student. But if you give excuses, largely you will never grow as a student. So whatever your problems are, try and face it. There is no way around it. That is what I am trying to tell here. Now, if you do not listen, what will happen? Then your scores are going to get stagnated. Then if they are getting stagnated, then you are not learning from test to test. Something is missing that you are not trying and improving. If you then can give an excuse that I am like this, then your scores will also be like this. So ultimately you need to change as a student. The person that you are today, believe me, is not going to clear the exam. But what you can carve out of yourself, that person can 100% clear the exam. So it is not about who you are, it is about what you can become. That possibility we need to explore, and for that you cannot give excuses. Don't play on your ego. My life, my rules is not the something, not a way to move forward. Idea is basically what is required in the situation. Do those things. More importantly, don't give excuses. And the most important thing, don't cry. I have seen students coming to me crying that my scores are this, my scores are that, I won't be able to do this, that. See, I told you that. The test is just telling you what is the situation today. It is not giving a judgment on your future. You can change it anytime. It is something very fluid. If I change my course of action, my future will also change. What is the problem? Only problem is basically you need to accept the feedback. You cannot avoid the feedback. If you avoid the feedback, you are also avoiding the possibility to improve. If you avoid the possibility to improve from yourself, you are not carving a person that is going to clear the exam. Remember this is the most important thing. And what is test? Test is like a compass. It tells you where to go. So if you are willing to listen, you will get the direction, what to do next. And if I am able to put those inputs in my preparation, 100% improvement is going to come, and 100% I am going to get qualified. So only way to not improve through a test is basically avoiding a test. If you write a test, you start thinking about your score, you work on those mistakes, you 100% you will improve. And I think in this session, I have clearly talked about these 4 things. Let us recap. The first thing that I talked about was why to write a test. What is the purpose that it serves? So it is a feedback mechanism. Secondly, I told you about how to, 1, prepare for a test, what to do before a test, how to write a test, what to do during a test, and how to analyze a test, what to do after the test. I have also talked about benchmarking the test. We talked about benchmarking a test. And then I talked about few very important do's and don'ts that most of the students will anyway do. And ultimately, the most important thing, idea that test is nothing but a compass. It gives direction to your preparation. Don't throw that compass in water and say that I was unable to do because this and that happened. Excuses will not matter, outcomes will. In this session, we discussed about how testing works. In the next one, since now we have covered all the important 5 parts, I am going to tell you how to manage your time in all of these 5 activities so that you are able to reach to your goal. See you until then. Bye.